Welcome back to Network Spotlight. On today's show, I will be talking to Pierogi of Atlantica, which is an NFT marketplace, it's a launch pad, and it's an NFT collection. It's created by Hector Network, and they decided to build this out in order to create a more transparent relationship between creators and buyers. They also believe that there's a lot more to explore within the NFT space and that NFTs are more than just images. I enjoyed this conversation with Pierogi. Pierogi, I think you will as well. And please do keep in mind that many of these early stage projects have not been audited. So please do your due diligence. This is not financial advice. This is just simply for educational purposes. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and enjoy. Let's start with Atlantica Market. What exactly is Atlantica Market, and why do you feel like there's a need for it right now in this space?
In our case, or I guess in my case, the Atlantica market is not only a NFT facilitator of services of creators, connecting collections with the user base and formations of communities with those that follow the creators very deeply. It's say overall in a big picture sense, it is a our solution, the project solution with the marketplace, with the launchpad, with its own projects, NFT collections, are solutions what we've seen as faults with the NFT scene that has been experienced in the past 2 years or ever since they've came out, because I know they've came out for sure more than 2 years ago, in the sense of where users' confidence have been quite dwindling down because of how collections are being handled, how there isn't a form of accountability for when creators start a project, how truthful are the roadmaps that are set to be achieved, how is the handling going forward, is there ever uncertainty of a time where the project ceased to exist because the creator decided to go on break or something happened with the funding or the code of the projects itself. It's also a answering or the solution to where NFTs can go viably in terms of stability and value, much more than the image itself that the metadata of these NFTs contain. What's now being looked at and much more honed into with Atlantica is the actual coding behind the NFT, the smart contract. What can be done? What can creators make out of it in terms of putting together unique unlocks with perks and with experiences that in this case puts into the power of the users to how they want to use it as they deem fit, whether it's to experience everything that the collection has to offer with them and them holding onto it, or to stake it for financial reasons, or to lend it out, rent it out for others who are also interested, but perhaps the user doesn't have time or the place, or maybe not even interest. A lot more options to what users can get from the NFTs. Doesn't have to be only focused on what the visual look is, whether it's a 3D asset that you could see in the viewer, or a document, or just an art form. It's more about what the code itself entails, and that is what's going to be mainly focused on with the Atlantica, is the quality of the product as well as the quality of the services. Have it where what you can do with the NFT, where you can find it, what's going to be upcoming, as well as the tools available for those who like to start with us as their day one solution, as well as the follow through of their creative history, of their creative roadmap, that being available at Atlantica. Almost like a one stop shop, but in this case, being really specific and being very close with the creators that we onboard, because we want to be there successful not only for their first day mint, for their appearance into the public view, but for their afterwards, what their story, what their journey will be afterwards.
How competitive is that side of the marketplace? Not even talking about from the user standpoint, but bringing in these high quality projects. They obviously have a lot of different choices. You've got all the open seas of the world, and so much more. And of course, we can get into the big differences between what you guys are building and somebody like OpenSea. But how competitive is that side of the marketplace, and what are some of the things that you feel like Atlantica is doing or has to do in order to entice them to come on board?
Competitiveness, as how I see it thus far, is that there is very little, but with good reason. Because of what we've seen with marketplaces like the top ones, you have OpenSea, you got Binance Marketplace, you have Magic Eden. In my opinion, how I see these marketplaces, how they flourished, is that they were the dependable solution for any creator to start with, for any collection, for any vision to begin with, and for users to come onto those sites. I'd say mainly for the liquidity reasons, in terms of they're able to get into a collection, no problem. If they're looking for the finance end of as a tradable asset rather than using it for the experience or the perk of the NFT, they go to those solutions first because of the amount of people that exist, the amount of chains that are supported, as well as the amount of creators that chose those marketplaces and launchpad services as their first choice. Difference here with Atlantica is what we're looking at, what we've seen, or at least what the project have seen, as the seriousness part of it, to where the experiences and perks can start out not initially as a new brand, as a new creator, but to actually onboard and have that sustainability with in real life companies, those that want to connect better or further with the communities that companies that have never touched crypto before, for them to then onboard their collections, their experiences, match that with the coding of the NFTs themselves, and put those out into the market. In that sense, the professionalism side of the NFTs, of how far they can go, and on the for sure the focus on what the how the code can be customized rather than all the focus on the visual of the NFT. Wide open for the taking, but it is with high difficulty. Initially, it could be thought about as high difficulty because the trustings have to be where most of these companies are waiting for regulation to come in. What else is waiting for is the trust of the quality that's going to be upheld with the marketplaces and the launchpad, as well as the services, to where it doesn't go straight to what could bring the fastest cash back or cash grab, but more of the user confidence being there that they can come to this marketplace and expect quality product and quality services, instead of they themselves, the users, have to think about every day, every week, what are the new safety measures they have to employ, what kind of checks do they have to make sure they don't go into a fraudulent collection or a malicious smart contract code. Having those out of the way clears out lots of the uncertainty that large companies are stressing about or worried about when approaching any of these marketplace and launchpad solutions. At Atlantica, we think that we have started those connections in the makings and understand what needs to be there for the uncertainty to pretty much cease to exist, and pretty much have it a soft, I wouldn't say soft, but as smooth of a launch as possible with these collections, as well as the connection between creator and the communities, so that none of the participants with the launchpad, with the marketplace, get lost in the process or ever in question have to think what kind of steps do they have to take themselves so they don't fall into a trap. It's best if those traps don't exist in those services to begin with. And in some cases, it does have to start with the projects and the creators that we work with, almost like learning from each other, what the users learn from each other and what the creators learn from each other, from what Atlantica is able to service.
It's interesting because the NFT marketplace, and I'm specifically thinking about, say, the music industry. Music industry has a tendency to take advantage of a lot of content creators, right? And that's where I think the transition into the blockchain space has occurred and seems to be thriving. But now you're hearing words from other NFT marketplaces that are also taking advantage of content creators. I'm not really sure if this has to do more with allowing royalties or not. but I don't know if you've heard some of these stories with OpenSea and some of these other, bigger marketplaces. I'm curious to get your take in terms of what's transpiring. Do they have too much control? Is it not enough? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think the thoughts are with the control that, or like the market share composition spread of where liquidity exists, where creators go to as their like first thought of a successful launch. I would say it's rightfully so, how it is right now. I don't think that unless a service or a solution comes out there that is able to, rival or pretty much give reasons for creators and users to come to a different or start with a different launchpad or marketplace. I think as the market share as it is today is rightfully so. You have the OpenSea, which in my opinion has the advantage of being the first mover advantage. They were the first ones to bring a sense of professionalism into the like the marketplace sense of you come to a place where any collection can be submitted and users can find the collections they want to get into and creators to start their collection on there in order to gain that initial revenue that I guess that every collection is looking for a mint out that mint out moment within a few hours or a few days, and afterwards it's all about the responsibility then put on the creators to follow through with their collections and follow through with the communities however their project is designed. Currently, I have seen, yes, in the for sure in the summer of last year, where you have solutions, for example, as pseudo swap and Hades swap, where they bring a different model of NFT liquidity handling, where older models but dependable ones that OpenSea has and Magic Eden has is that a buyer needs to match with a seller for a transaction to go through. SudoSwap takes inspiration from the DEX models of automated market making. What that means is they turn the NFTs, pair that with ERC20 tokens, pretty much essentially changing the NFTs also into ERC20s to have a constant liquidity source to remove the stress of needing to find a seller for every buyer and a buyer with every seller. You could come in and out of a liquidity pool as seen fit, and it's up to the community and those that own the collections and those that are interested to provide liquidity for such collections to join forces and overall create a new way of how NFTs can be moved in and out for as users deem fit, whether they treat it as an investment or just want to get in and out of a collection. But I'd say those are still having trouble to hold on to their market share. Like SudoSwap had an enormous jump of user growth because of the idea being novel at the time, being something new. Same thing happened, I guess the one that's still holding almost rival to OpenSea's volume count is Blur.io, where they're all about instead of the creator focus and the royalty focus, they're all about the trader aspect, the trader side of the NFTs. And that's all good. That's all fine because you could have those that treat NFTs as assets, and you got those that treat for the experience that could be unlocked with the NFT, and as well as the perks that are behind the NFTs if you own them. So, for example, for Blur.io, they brought their own set of tools for the trader side of the NFT world, whether it is the quickness to their speed, the finality of their trades, how fast they're able to aggregate NFT locations and prices as they appear on site. All of those amazing tools for those that are looking for that side of action on the NFTs. Yet, transaction side of things, they look market share wise to be overpowering OpenSea. But I think what some people miss though is the service side on how the cost of everything to maintain all of these services. Blur is able to, on few occasions, overpower volume wise or transaction count to OpenSea, but it's only because the transactions cost nothing to the user. And from that sense, doing the same on marketplaces that do cost a service fee, not so much of interest for those that are on the trader side of things, on the trader side of the NFTs. But I see every week new ERC contracts, whether it is on the Ethereum chain or on like a new one I just read on the Casper network. They're able to bring a new light to what it means for a NFT to be coded and what could be, really governing behind what an NFT is all about. You have, yes, services that go beyond what Magic Eden, OpenSea, Rarible, LooksRare is able to provide. I think still from time to time, what's going to be realized is the exact creators that choose which marketplace and launchpad to start with and where users go to for the dependability of where liquidity exists. So overall, how market share is split, for my opinion, think it deems fair because of how where users and creators have chosen as their, with that certainty, as a must certainty as they have for the things that they want to do in the NFT space.
What network is Atlantica Market utilizing for the NFT marketplace, and what went into that decision?
Currently, the beginnings of the Atlantica marketplace has started with the Fantom. Reasoning has been similar to as how many layer ones have came up, or the reasonings of layer ones to show up in the past 2 years is the speed, the finality, as well as the liquidity and the tools that exist for the in the NFT scene. Uh, Also, specifically on the Fantom, is with the connections that have been made, as well as the talks that have been had with creators on the Fantom chain. Those are looking for art specifically on the side of only focusing on the visionary, the art style of the creator, all the way to the end of the games that are being made on the Fantom space. So, in the first case, for the first approach or the first onboarding of creators, Fantom was that initial choice because of the connections that was made along, like during the development process of Atlantica, and in this case, the dependability of the network itself, where users don't have to worry about the gas fee for the interactions and the functions that exist on Atlantica, as well as what's going to be put up into the future, in which of the Fantoms talk of their EVM like coding, the Fantom virtual machine setup, and that has potential in terms of furthering decreasing the cost of transactions as well as increasing the speeds and the handling of the network. Overall, it's the trust that the network is able to handle itself with the transactions that we do plan to input into the network, and the trust that our services are able to hold steady as we onboard more and more creators and hopefully take on more and more users that utilize our services.
Working in cybersecurity and with different Web3 projects on their cybersecurity, I see a lot of development happening on the DeFi side within Phantom Network. I don't see as much on the NFT side. Would you agree with that? And if so, I mean, what are your thoughts on why that's the case?
Yeah, I can agree with it. Compared to networks like Dara, Algorand, Ethereum, especially, and Solana, Phantom, compared to what I deem industry standard services, has been lacking in that sense. I wouldn't say lacking purposefully. I think, as I said before, with the NFT side of things, is that the liquidity of how users want to enter in and out of collections is much more sensitive than ERC20 tokens. Because in this sense, you're talking about either ERC721 tokens, where they are unique copies. And for the most case, the utility or the perks behind it is about holding the tokens rather than trading it for the volatility of prices, the volatility of actions. So the amount of services and liquidity that need to exist for an NFT service to exist really depends on the liquidity that exists on the network. I remember firstly, yeah, Fantom was focusing on the DeFi end of things, and that's where most of the liquidity has been captured, or in this case, focused on. Similar, for example, to Arbitrum. Why I don't see many NFT solutions for service for networks like Arbitrum and a Loopring. Similar story you could say with Fantom, because they do focus on the DeFi side of things, because the movement of money, the movement of liquidity on the sense is much easier for how most people know what crypto tokens are, the ERC20, rather than NFTs. NFTs have to deal with that semi sluggish movement. And so building services such as those that could help out creators on the smart contract side of things or on the liquidity for speculation or speculation toolings, it's a lot more difficult because it's about the velocity of money. And NFTs, how it is currently set up, the old style of matching buyer with seller, very hard for ideas or, like, for example, services to exist on that end. I would say also too with these networks is the entrance of real life companies have their interest to go into a network. So that's why services exist more on Polygon, for example, when you have the mentions of Disney and Starbucks having interest to go into the stability as well as the liquidity side on the Polygon end. You have those kinds of examples coming into a network. You're bound to have both creators and services, specifically to NFTs, start on those networks.
Sales are up for OpenSea 2 months in a row. Is the NFT sector, is it back?
I would say not. I guess it depends on what you mean by back. If it's about the high speculation, the excitement of owning collections based off the art style itself, and not so much thought onto how they can be used or the trust that the creator will able to continue for a long time with the projects that they start, I don't think we're back to those times yet. I, in my opinion, hope that we don't go into the negative side of what occurred on the NFT space in the past 2 years. I think still time needs to still pass by in terms of bringing back, how can I say, two to three aspects. One of them, for sure, user confidence needs to come back. I know that's more than transaction count and volume of marketplaces. It's really about users growing expectations of what NFTs are to entail, much more than the visual image that is, like, plastered on top of the metadata of the code itself. Second is the toolings of what else can be newly available for creators to express their visions of either on the art sense or express the value of the perks that come with the NFTs. And those take time. Those, like, need um, like actual how can I say, exclusivity, actual structure, actual coding behind it. Much easier to those that want to take the shortcut of generating art, or to that take the long time to do the art, rather than taking care of the coding end on who to partner with to make this specific experience or this specific service. I think it's going to take time, for one, for creators to take on that end seriously, and for two, for service to or service for several protocols to make that creation, efficient, time efficient, and cost efficient. I think as more and more like weight on the creator's shoulder is taken off by marketplaces, by launch pads, by protocols, I think that will be healthier overall for the NFT space, and overall for different kinds of experiences that perhaps need to have heavy liquidity and heavy influence to begin to gain confidence that how things are being handled are more on the professional sense rather than on a quick cash grab, or on finding as much helpless victims to just gain a few pocket money on that sense. More of that, or almost all of it, needs to go away, and overall confidence in the space, both the users and the creators, needs to come back.
Yeah, I think we'll get here soon enough. It's a matter of time, and I mean, soon is very kind of dependent upon how you interpret it. But I think within the next couple of years or so, we'll see a lot of changes in the NFT space. But what's next for Atlantica Market?
For the Atlantica market, or overall the Atlantica sub projects, is the upcoming rollout schedules, or the scheduled rollouts. In this case, specifically, what's going to come within the quarter one of this year is going to very much focus on the tools and the ability to onboard or import collect NFT collections, those of established artists, those that have created collections outside of Atlantica. Because in this case, Atlantica first, I would say the main services that began is the creating of collections inside of the marketplace, as well as the setup of profiles to then engage with other users as well as with other collections, with collections that they are interested in as well as those that they own. Next feature rollouts will be the inclusion of the creators that have already started out their collections on the Fantom chain specifically, to import them in, and to start, I guess, gaining mainly feedback on their end, on the creators' point of view, on what is excellent that's going on in the marketplace that we're currently servicing, or what needs improvement, what would they like to see. Pretty much overall to start actual talk going on inside of the marketplace, as well as the activity side of things in terms of introducing maybe those that haven't seen what currently exists of NFT creations, those that have bared through the past 1 to 2 years of the market movements of the NFT side of things. I'd say the next important features will be the cross-chain aspect, without spoiling about how other features are going to be integrated, whether it's how royalties are handled, how purchases are being handled by the user themselves for certain collections, um, as well as the performance side of actually having statistics starting to be built in and have it different on the health side of things rather than focusing on what traders can use on the financial side of things. Those are all upcoming into the quarter one of this year. Within Atlantica 2, the other sub projects, what's looking into quarter one of this year is the dual pairing, the synergy of the LaunchPad. So this will be the services that will be set for onboarding new creators, those that would like to start with us on their journey of their creation, of their collections, of their perks of their utility, and as well as the on that end too, learning from their feedback of how things are handled, how things can be better. Because in this case, it's still currently learning. I wouldn't say completely learning process because of research being made, but still ongoing of the learning from the user's perspective. Filling in those solutions, filling in those services that really the users are looking for going forward.
Amazing. Where can people follow along?
I'd say mainly our two sites to follow on mostly is at Atlantica Market on Twitter, and you could also find us in on the same Twitter page. You will find us in our Discord, which that's where the chats and announcements are posted. And from those two places, I'd say that you'll find the most abundance of information related to Atlantica. Otherwise, closely to what's going on the visionary side, on the strategy side, on the marketing, as well as the partnerships. Users can follow me and my conversation. I'm mostly active on Discord. You could find me on Discord at Stressed Pierogi or Pierogi Pierogi. In that site, as well as on Telegram, but on Twitter, users can find me on the tag of Stressed Pierogi.
Great. Last question for you. How has your experience been on Network Spotlight Elites?
Positive in this case, in having conversations with those, whether it's even outside of the NFT space, because there's always, I wanted to find thoughts and ideas from how synergy can be made both on the DeFi side, on the NFT side. I mean, the talks, the Twitter spaces I've been on, as you know, Mikhail, that I've been on with the guest speakers and the panelists, always a pleasure to learn more, always a pleasure to speak up my mind and hear what others think about it, whether on the good side, on the bad side. It's all about learning together, and for the connection making as well. Those that like to learn more off to the side and see what works, what ideas can be put together. I think overall it's a very valuable space.
Yeah, and I also appreciate your contribution to the group. I think that the value that you provide creates a more valuable group. So Thanks a lot for your support, for being part of the newsletter, being part of the Twitter Spaces, and now being part of this interview. So I really appreciate you, and yeah, looking forward to collaborating more.
Likewise.